Here are some comments about the Enlightenment and Deism. I'm going to read through the notes so that I won't ramble, and I try to keep these videos as short as possible because it takes a long time to save them. So I'm going to read through it so I won't ramble. A couple of things about essay organization. We are at midterm, just about, and some people are still having problems with basic essay organization. This is a writing class, and at this point, everyone should know that an essay has an introduction, support, and conclusion, or a beginning, middle, and end. You should know this from English 111 and 112, which are prerequisites for English 241. The introduction includes background and a restatement of the prompt. The body supports the prompt, and the conclusion brings the essay to a close. Some of the essays I've been reading have no introduction or merge the introduction with support. Some essays just stop with no conclusion. Look at the sample essays that I've provided in course documents, and I also encourage you to look at the essays that others are writing in the class. There are some outstanding essays, and it is perfectly obvious that they are outstanding. Most of the class has mastered this essay beautifully. I have read so many of your essays at this point that I can predict which essays are going to be well done. It's becoming that obvious. But on to the main focus this week. The Enlightenment, or humans have always been thinkers. Puritanism is now in the rearview mirror, and the focus is on reason or the rational or logical mind. Religion does not disappear, but with the expansion of the American population, other faiths arrive. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about America. Christianity was never meant to be our national religion. First, to establish a national religion goes contrary to what the Puritans believed. They wanted to change the church, purify it in the case of the Puritans, or to separate from it, the Pilgrims. To force someone to believe something goes contrary to what they wanted. Second, almost immediately other settlers with other beliefs arrived, so it was impossible to establish one religion for all, even if they wanted to do that. Remember, people were isolated, separated in a wilderness, and communication was slow. There was no Puritan Facebook or Instagram or tweets. True, Christians played a major role in establishing the United States, but they did not establish a national religion. I also want to stress that the Enlightenment is not like someone flips on a light switch and people start using their intellect. Humans have always been using reason since time began. It is simply a matter of emphasis. Things take on more focus on reason. For example, there is Ptolemy in AD 100 who theorized that the earth was the center of the universe. The Greeks, such as Aristotle and Plato, talked about logic. Then along comes Copernicus in 1543 who said the sun is the center of the universe. By the way, he was excommunicated from the church for such heresy. Then there is Galileo who confirmed Copernicus' theories in the 17th century. The church also accused him of heresy. Then there is Francis Bacon, who established the Royal Society in England in the 17th century, where the emphasis was on empiricism, the scientific method that means we can prove things through observation. All of this is to show that thinking was always a part of human development. There was even more of an emphasis on reason and thinking in the 18th century, and there were many scientific discoveries. Deism, or getting reasonable about God. With deism, we see a blending of religion and reason. Many people acknowledge that God created the universe and then allows it to run on its own without intervention. This is in stark contrast to the Puritans who felt that God controlled everything and Satan lurked behind every corner or every tree. Thomas Nelson is the perfect example of a deist. He wrote the Bible, a pretty bold undertaking, and removed all of the mysticism, spirituality, and miracles. His theory was Jesus was not divine, but a great moral teacher. According to Jefferson, if you remove the mysticism, you still had great, timeless moral teachings. If you'd like to see a copy of the Bible, there's a link to it, or you can just Google the Thomas Jefferson Bible. That is a perfect example of the Enlightenment. Many of the founders of the United States were deists. There were also a number of political theories at work. I ask you to look at the video on those ideas because I want you to see that those ideas did not originate with the founders of the United States. The founders perpetuated those ideas. I want you to see what ideas made the United States what it is. Political ideas or birth of nations. Just to give you some notes from that video which you watched. Kings dominate. Kings had absolute power over the people. They got power from God. Divine right of kings. 1700s, the Enlightenment emerged. People began to question this. Hobbes felt that humans are evil and selfish and need monarchs to tell them what to do. Now, if you listen to these ideas, you're going to see the United States in the version of these ideas. John Locke. People are not evil or selfish. We have natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Does that sound familiar? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that appears in the Declaration of Independence. They know when they are violated. The role of government is to protect those rights. Montesquieu. What if the government is the problem? He felt that there should be a separation of powers. Executive, legislative, judicial. There should be a checks and balance system. Power is divided. Does that sound anything like our United States Constitution? And remember, the Revolution, the American Revolution, 1776, is based on this very idea that government is the problem. Rousseau. Government is a contract between government and people, a social contract. People can back out of government and make a new one. Voltaire. Government needs to be separate from the church. Religious freedom. The two should be separate. Greater tolerance of multiple groups. Should not force religion on people. We even hear about this today. V. Voltaire. Separation. R. Rousseau. Social contract. M. Montesquieu. Separation of powers. Locke. Lock up basic rights. And Hobbes wrote Leviathan, and he had a traditional view of government. And let me conclude with some words about Benjamin Franklin, or the Enlightenment personified. Benjamin Franklin embodies or personifies the Enlightenment. He was what is called the Renaissance man. He did it all. He was first a candle maker, then a publisher, a writer, an inventor. He invented the Franklin stove, eyeglasses, fire departments, libraries, etc. And he was a scientist. He was a statesman, a diplomat, a drafter of the Declaration of Independence. All of those activities make him the perfect example of the Enlightenment. And that's what I was looking for if you chose that response. I didn't want you just to list what he did. I wanted you to see that he embodies what the Enlightenment is about. He is a reasonable, rational human being, and I wanted you to explain how his life reflects reason and self-determination. Franklin also embodies the American spirit of individualism and the American dream, where anyone can be a success. Many of you did a fantastic job on the essays. I enjoy reading them. I enjoy seeing your insights. And I'd like to encourage other people who may not have gotten the grade that you would like, look at other essays and see how people are handling the material. It's a great group, and you're doing a great job. Until next week, thank you.